PR 101, number one, is your customer avatar. You need to know exactly who your customer is and every single thing about them. You need to know how they spend their time, what their lifestyle's like. Do they commute when they go to work? Do they have kids? What their frustrations are, what their problems are, what their worries are, what keeps them awake at night, what problems they need solving. You need to know as much about them as possible. How much they like to go out. Do they prefer to be outdoors? Do they prefer to be indoors? Find out as much as you can about your customer, because all that insight, all that knowledge is power. Now, knowledge is power, we know that, and the more information you can gather on your customer, the better for you, because what I want you to do is create something called a customer avatar. Now, I would suggest you do not have more than 2 of these avatars, because I'll tell you why. You cannot, no one can, no brand can speak to everybody. We cannot. If we try and speak to everybody, we speak to nobody. So what you want to do is really narrow down who your customer is and create a profile. We call it an avatar, some people call it a profile, same thing. It's a kind of a template of who your customer is. I like to give them names. So I could say I had, I don't know, a makeup brand. I could say, okay, my customer avatar is called Emma. She is 35 plus. She works full time. She's got 2 kids, but they are now in high school, so she's got a little bit more time on her hands, but she's really focused on her career. She spent all of her time with her family. She drives. At the weekend, she likes to go for dog walks and meet her friends in the pub for drinks. Just create this whole shape of this person, because the more that you know about them and where they spend their time and how they spend their time will then enable you to go out and reach them where they are and speak to them where they are. If you don't know where they are, if you don't know them inside out, you can't possibly know how to reach them. So that is lesson 1, PR 101. Before you start doing anything whatsoever, learn about your customer. Now, if you don't have customers already, you need to create a profile of who you are targeting, who your ideal customer is, and then map out everything that you can about them. Now, even when you talk about them, you should call them by their name. When I used to work at Boots years ago, I'm sure, within the PR sphere, they used to have 3 different types of female customer. Now, this is Boots. They can have 3. If you're a small or startup business, I'd suggest 1, as I said earlier, maximum 2, because you cannot speak to everyone at the same time. And they were called something like Charlotte, Emily, and it wasn't Francis, but it was something like that. And internally, we would always, whenever we were doing a project or a launch or whatever it may be, or a store opening, we would say, who is this for? Is it for Charlotte? How's Charlotte going to respond to this? What's Emma going to do about this? And really, the more that you start to think about them as people and as individuals, which your customers are, they are people, the more that you can reach them and connect with them in a way that's really going to touch them. So I implore you with every sense of my being, get your customer avatars, get them absolutely nailed down. And when you've got to that point, then you can go out and start thinking about, okay, how are we going to communicate them with them? What messages are we going to use that's going to connect with them? What mediums? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Or are they reading magazines? All of this stuff. All of this knowledge will really help you to take your brand where you want it to get to.